Hello everyone, this is Andrew from Crown Academy of English. Today's lesson we're going to look at the preposition at. So, at is a preposition. And a quick revision, a preposition is a word that comes before a noun phrase. And we can use the preposition at to describe lots of different things. Okay, it has lots of uses. For example, time, place, activity, and direction. Okay, so in this lesson we're going to look at all the uses of the preposition at. So let's look at as a preposition of time. So the first use is at followed by a clock time. For example, let's meet at 3 o'clock. So we're describing the time. We have a meeting at 4 p.m. So p.m. means in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The train leaves at 6:40 p.m. At 6:40 p.m. So at followed by a clock time. Another use of at as a preposition of time is at followed by the name of a festival or a special time of the year. So two very common examples. Well, the first one is at Christmas. So I saw my brother at Christmas. I'm going to London at Easter. Okay, so this means during the Christmas holidays, during the festival of Christmas, during the holiday of Easter. Okay, I'm going to London at Easter. So we're describing again a period of time. And here are some expressions with at as a preposition of time. We can say at the weekend. For example, he's going to play football at the weekend. We also have an expression at the beginning of. At the beginning of the meeting, we discussed sales. So this means at the start of. Okay, so we're describing a part of a time, a part of an event. And the opposite is at the end of. At the end of the evening, we went out for a drink. Okay, we went out for a drink at the end of. At can also be used as a preposition of place. So to describe the place of something, where something is. So we can have at followed by a specific place or location. For example, Mark is sitting at his desk. So this is his desk, this is Mark, so he is sitting at his desk. It's the specific location. There are two people at reception. Two people at reception. So this is the reception of a hotel. We turned right at the traffic lights. At the traffic lights. So here are the traffic lights. And when we arrived at the traffic lights, we turned right. We turned right. Okay, so at followed by a specific location. We can also have at followed by a company, a place of work. So here we have Google. I want to work at Google. At followed by the name of the company. We can also have at followed by an educational institution. For example, a school or university. Okay? For example, Jane studied at Cambridge University. At Cambridge University. At is also followed by an exact address. So an exact postal address. A complete address. So for example, so here is an exact address. We have the full address with the number of a street, then the name of the street, and then the city. So we say, Mark lives at 5 Main Street, Manchester. At 5 Main Street, Manchester. So by exact address, it is important that there is the number and the street. If we do not know the number, or if we do not specify the number, if we simply want to give the name of the street, then we use the preposition on. For example, we can say, Mark lives on Main Street. Mark lives on Main Street. But if we want to specify the number, we use at. Mark lives at 5 Main Street, Manchester. Okay, so if we use the complete address, we use the preposition at. We also use at followed by a place where we get treatment. So a common example, Sarah is at the dentist's. Another example, I'm ill. I'm at the doctor's. I'm at the doctor's. And another very common example, Jane is at the hairdresser's. So she's getting her hair cut. So hairdresser is where you go to get your hair cut. Notice in all of these examples, we have an apostrophe S. Apostrophe S. So it is a possessive. And that is because, well, the full sentence here would be, if we had the full sentence, we would say, Sarah is at the dentist's surgery. The surgery of the dentist. Okay? But we don't bother with surgery. We don't bother with the noun. Okay? So we simply use the possessive. We just have the possessive. Here the full sentence would be, I'm at the doctor's surgery. But again, we don't bother with the word surgery, but we still keep the possessive. And here the full sentence would be, Jane is at the hairdresser's shop. Okay, shop. The shop of the hairdresser. But we don't need to bother with the word shop, but we still keep the possessive. So just remember that when you write it, to write it with an apostrophe. At the dentist's, at the doctor's, at the hairdresser's, apostrophe S everywhere. Okay? At followed by a group activity. So a place where we do an activity in a group. Very common example. Here's David. And where is David? Well, David is at the party. He's at the party. Okay, so party is obviously a group activity. It's a place where there is a group of people. Jane and Mark are at the cinema. At the cinema. We can also say at the theatre. It's the same use. Another example, the students are at the conference. So again, this is a place where there is a group activity. At the conference. We also use at to describe speed, so how fast you are traveling or something is traveling. So we have at followed by the speed. So here is a very common example inside a car. So here is an abbreviation, mph. And so this means miles per hour. So this is the speed, this is the unit of speed, miles per hour. And in this example, we can see that we are driving at 30 miles per hour. I am driving at 30 miles per hour. So this is the speed. So this is the distance per unit of time. So in this unit of time, I travel the distance of 30 miles. So together, that forms the speed, 30 miles per hour. Okay? mph, because we have miles in the United Kingdom. We don't really use kilometers, the metric system. We prefer to use miles. If it was kilometers, this would be kph, kilometers per hour. Okay? And the name of this instrument, the name of this whole instrument is the speedometer. So the speedometer is on the dashboard. So the dashboard is the whole thing at the front of a car. And this instrument is called the speedometer. Good at. So we can say good at something. A noun phrase here, either a noun or often a gerund. And we use this to describe things that we do well. Mark is good at football. He's good at football. So good at, and here we have the noun, football. So this is the activity of football. Jane is good at singing. Jane is good at singing. So here we have an example of a gerund. So a gerund is a verb acting as a noun. Okay, so this is another way of saying Jane sings well. Jane sings well. Jane is good at singing. Singing is the activity. And we can also say bad at something. So I'm sure you can guess what this means. This means to describe things that we do badly, not well. David is bad at drawing. Is bad at drawing. Okay? Again, this is a gerund. This is the ing form of the verb, draw. And a gerund is a verb acting as a noun. Bad at drawing. And Jane is bad at skiing. Okay? She's not good at skiing. She's bad at skiing. She skis badly. Okay? And another use of at is to describe direction. So we use at after a verb to describe directing something towards another person or thing. And with this use, we often use verbs of communication or perception. So here is a common example. Jane is smiling at Mark. Jane is smiling at Mark. Okay? We don't say smiling to Mark. No, we use at. Smiling at Mark. He is shouting at the customer. He is shouting at. So towards in the direction of the customer. So that obviously the customer is on the other end of the line. He's on the phone. And Jane is smiling in the direction of Mark. Okay, towards Mark. But we don't say smiling to. We don't say shout to the customer. We say shouting at the customer. And the last example, she is waving at the aeroplane. So to wave is this gesture she is making with her hand. When you move your hand left and right, that is waving. So she's waving towards the aeroplane, in the direction of the aeroplane. Okay? In fact, she's waving at somebody on the aeroplane. In fact, probably her father or maybe her mother on the aeroplane. But she's waving at the aeroplane. Okay? We don't say she's waving to the aeroplane. That's a common mistake. So, to describe direction with verbs of communication and perception. So these are all examples of verbs of communication or perception. To smile, to shout, to wave. Okay? So there we are, that's the end. Hope you enjoyed it. Here are some other videos which I recommend you watch.